Well, hey guys, does this garden tractor or riding mower not look like it's been in the big one at Talladega? I got the cowl off of it, and what has happened is the front axle just snapped on it. Luckily enough, it was right here behind my workshop. I'm within 5 feet of my beer fridge, so this is awesome. I'll take that back, probably 25 feet of my beer fridge. So it couldn't have broken a more perfect area, considering just a few hours earlier she was down at the other property, running up and down ditch banks that really should have broke this axle had it been a weak point. I guess it was just the good Lord saving me an aggravation of dragging the thing up here, behind the tractor. But I mean, like I say, it snapped right here. But what I've done here is I've took some I think it's 15-inch cable rack that we use at work. Where I work, I install this stuff. I work in telephone offices, and if once the job's through and you've got short pieces of it, this stuff comes in 10-foot sections, 9-foot 9-inch sections, and if you've cut even 1 foot off of it, they dumpster it. So if there's any good long usable lengths, I'll take those off their hands before they chunk them in the dumpster, because around a farm you can always find something to do with a 7-foot long piece of steel. Gates, you could build just anything out of this, but what I did is I've utilized these pieces. These brackets up here on top also is something we use in our industry, and if it's less than $500, they don't ship an item back. If it's something that costs less than $500, they don't ship it back. They just tell you to dispose of it locally. Just more waste. So things like this wind up in my little white dumpster. That's what I call my truck. The little white dumpster. Just if you're going to throw it away, throw it in there. So what I've done is I've junctioned this thing up, made myself a little frame to lift this mower up, and I've taken some metal T-posts here and drove them into the ground after I built it and stood it up. And then I've took some ratchet straps and ratchet strapped the thing to my little jig here to the T-posts. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 more ratchet straps and attach to the frame and lift this thing up. And it's not very heavy. I can pick the front end of that mower up fairly easy. The reason I'm using 2 straps is so that I can let it down nice and slow when I'm ready to set it down. You drop one side, you drop, and then lock it in place, drop the other side a little bit, and you can let it down nice and slow. If you've just got one ratchet and you pop it loose, it's just going to zoop, wham, hit the ground. So 2 straps, we're going to lift this thing up. So let's get this thing off the ground. Well, I think we got it up high enough to work on, so it's time to start unbolting things and making a parts list. Surprisingly enough, the axle's not that expensive. I already looked at it online, and price online versus buying it locally, I'd be better off buying it locally. It's $60.13 plus tax to buy it locally, and it's $56 plus shipping to get it online. So a lot of times it's a heck of a lot cheaper when you figure in that shipping to find something local, or find something that you can have shipped to a local dealership for free shipping. So a lot of times shipping's a game changer. So I'm gonna get to work looking at seeing what's broke. Alright guys, it's been a few days. As you can tell from the grass growth, the mower has been down for a while, and maybe you can tell by over behind in there I've had the bush hog out. So anyway, trying to get the place cleaned up and ready for fall, and bring a couple more cows over here. But anyway, we got the broke axle out from under the thing, and let's see, let me get you off the stand here. Right here is the broke axle. As you can see, it come right into right there. This is the replacement, $65.65. Made in USA, cast iron, just like the other one, except it's got a lot more holes in it. I don't know if that's going to affect the strength at all. In my mind, it would weaken it, but I'm not a structural engineer. Somebody will probably pop on here and explain to me how that actually makes it stronger, which, you know, it could. There's just no telling. But anyway, it was pretty easy to come out of there. It took, let's see, I had to take a couple of bolts loose right up in here. That's them sitting right there and there. That takes the muffler guard off. Let's see, had to take 3 bolts right here off, and that takes the collector for the mufflers. I guess what you'd call these little pipes here are headers. I guess that'd be about what you'd have to call them. They go into a collector, which is actually the muffler, and then it exhausts out the front here. Luckily they're not welded, they just stick down in there. They're not braided or nothing. Over here on the old trampoline is the muffler, collector, whatever you want to call it, and those tubes just stick right down in there and silence it up. So those bolts, and then this one goes through it and bolts it to the actual chassis of the tractor through here, and then this plate bolts through there as well. I got me a little lever set up here. Had to take some pressure off of it by lifting up, and I just propped it on my little rig here. They have an ant infestation. Lord, I've had problems with ants this year. But anyway, we're fixing to reassemble. Now, I can't remember what these guys here are called. Little tie rod arms or something. Anyway, steering arms. They basically turn the front wheels, and I know those are worn out. They're stretched, bent. Something's up with them, because my little tractor runs kind of slew-footed. It's instead of its tires running straight, they stick out a little bit like that. So those little arms are $50-something a piece, and they weren't in the budget this week, so I'll have to replace them. They've got an adjustment on them, but I've adjusted them in just about as far as they'll go, especially this one over here. But we're going to play with that a little bit too once we get the wheels back on it, the axle back on it, and also let me get my wrenches out here. It's Saturday evening, and let's just see if I can't get her back to where she's in one piece, and then we'll start tweaking on them front wheels a little bit, see if we can't get them pointed straight ahead instead of pulling away. So back in a bit. Okay, this bolt here, is what holds the axle in place in the dead center. And what you do is these little, I guess you'd call them shims, I ain't real sure, they go in either side of it and your axle, like so. I guess, I don't know what these are. These are bushings. These are bushings. They go in there. You slip your axle up into place. You run this through the frame and the axle, and then out the other side. And then, like I said before, there's that little piece that supports the lawnmower that's the lawnmower deck that's dangling right there. It goes through it as well. Let me get it in place and I'll show you right quick. Alright, there it is. The bolt's in place, running through the frame. This little piece here is mounted. I haven't tightened things up yet. You can sort of see where things go there. Come on, auto adjust. There you go. Alright, so here's your new axle. In place, just needs tightening up. Alright, now that the axle's back on, it's time for the collector to go back on. And as you can see, I put the bolts back in their holes. That is your best way to keep track of your nuts and bolts. When you do a disassembly, put them back in the hole. Now these have been rained on and have rusted just a touch, but when I get my wrench out, they'll crack right loose and go right back into place, and I haven't lost anything. It's a big help to always take your nuts and bolts and just put them back in the place where they belong. It's a lifesaver when you go to reassemble 2 weeks later after you've had to order a part. You know, you think you're going to put it together after going to the parts store, and then you go to the parts store, the part shows up after a week of it being on back order, it's wrong, you send it back. 3 weeks later you start to reassemble and you can't find your nuts and bolts. Big time saver. Put them back in their hole once you remove them. So we'll put this on, we'll move to the next step. Okay, this is the protector for the exhaust collector, where the two exhaust manifolds come into this collector here and then exhaust out the engine. I was going to do something cute with this, maybe put a smiley face with a tongue hanging out or something, but who's got time for that silliness, right? Anyway, this slips in like so and rocks up and bolts in up here like this. So we are up to 3 for the collector and 2 for the deflector and 1 for the axle. So we're up to 6 bolts, and we're almost back together. All we've got to do is put the wheels back on and put the I guess you call them tie rods, steering rods, whatever. So give me just a minute to put this into place and put the wheels on, see what happens. Alright, let's put the put the wheel back on here. So we have the axle, we have the spindle itself, which you can do that with or without the wheel on it, and you slide that up through the bottom of the axle, like so, and then on top you have a washer and a little C-clip and a little cover that just keeps the grease from squirting out when you fill that little thing up with grease right here. That little cap is actually the hardest part to get on. So let me set the camera down here and you can watch me put this on right quick. take you a little flat edge or something. These little clips are actually supposed to have a little hole in them so that a set of pliers will can spread them, but this particular one don't. So it's easy enough to tap it into place. It taps right into a little groove on top of this little spindle set up. So that clip goes in there and stays in place, and then this little cap will go on here, and when you fill your grease fitting up, it'll pack up inside this little cap and keep things well lubricated in there. And this little cap is the toughest part. It was a fit to get off, and it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a pain in the butt to get back on too, but we'll get it on there. I'm not going to fool with it just yet, since it fights so hard. We're going to get everything back together and then put that hard fighting piece back on. So, alright guys, there we have it. The last two steps of getting this thing back together is attaching those steering arms to the spindle of the front wheels here and right here. It's just real simple. The bolt on the bottom runs through there, and there you go. That those arms are attached to a little yoke up underneath there that's attached to the steering gear, and you turn the steering wheel one way or the other, and it pushes and pulls those wheels back and forth. So even though it still looks like it's took all to pieces, the bulk of the work is done. Still got to put the little cowl back on over here. That's just cosmetic. It's got a plug for the headlights, and it just sort of sits on a little hinge right here and right here, and that's about it. But let's see. Right there. Okay, right there. And right there. And that's about it. So, and I was able to adjust that toe in just a little bit right here. You just take that jam nut loose and spin that little ball joint around and around till it gets to looking right, and the front wheels don't look too bad anymore. I guess the crack in that axle may have been what was contributing to the little slew-footedness that old tractor was having, instead of its wheels going straight. So let's get it off here, take it for a spin, and see what it looks like. I still have not put these little caps back on. They're going to be a battle, I can just tell you, because of the way they came off. So I'm going to leave them off for this little test spin around the yard, and I'll be back in a minute to tell you how it drives. Well, alright guys, there we have it. It's all back in one piece. Run them till the wheels fall off, and when the wheels fall off, stick them back on and run it some more. Y'all take care, guys. Have a great weekend. Jason, out.